I know. In the beginning, I said to myself, I'm going to try to post at least like two YouTube videos a week. Not realizing that was a lot to ask. But hey, we're figuring this out as we go. I know it's been like 6 months probably since I last posted any sort of YouTube video. And I'm so sorry. Life kind of took a toll. It is peak wedding season, so please give me a break when it comes to that part. It's been a while. So thank you for hopping back in and checking in to see if I'm still alive. Today's gonna be something fun. I would say the last couple of months have been so busy. I've been traveling a lot for weddings. I've had a wedding every single weekend. This is actually the only weekend that I've had off since beginning of September till essentially the end of November. In the middle of the week, I've been editing, catching up on emails, things like that. So this is the first weekend that I've had just to myself. I think it's really important when things are super stressful and things get kind of busy, that it's always important to like fill yourself back up in whatever capacity that looks like. And a lot of times as creatives, that means we need space to be able to create for ourselves when our whole business is run on creating for other people and creating for what they're wanting. You've heard me say this a lot before in the past. I think as a wedding photographer, we are a lot more customer service based than we are the creative side or the arts side of things. And that's just because a lot of it is we are doing weddings for what our client wants. We don't have a lot of time. We're running on a timeline on the day of a wedding, so there's not a whole lot of space really. I mean, creativity is obviously involved in a lot of it, but in terms of like what fulfills your soul and what fuels your creativity, I think it's a lot harder to kind of have those needs met when you are shooting a wedding for another person. So I think it's really important, especially for us wedding photographers, to really have an outlet, a creative space, whether that's something completely different away from photography, or if that's just like a new thing, something fun that you want to do, something that you haven't tried before. For those of you that kind of been following along my journey for a while, I think film photography was really helpful for me after a year of burnout last year. Getting into film and learning to love film and learning to like play around with different, with medium format, 35 mil, it was a whole new world for me. It's still something I'm learning. It's still something I'm leaning into. And actually now it's something that I've gotten a lot more confident in, that I'm able to add in my wedding packages and things like that. But that's not what today's video is about. Today I wanted to do something a little different. I wanted to do something a little fun, something for myself. I'm excited to kind of bring you along in this journey. It's something that I haven't done before, but I've wanted to kind of do. It's always been something that I have admired in others. So something that I've really been craving and really wanting to practice and create space for and create time for is product photography. I think it's so cool when you can do it in such a unique way. And the best part is you can do it on your own time. And so today I wanted to kind of start one. Just play around with it. This is not a paid gig. This is not something that I was commissioned for. It's solely for the purpose of, one, building a portfolio for myself, but two, just playing. Again, fueling that creative energy that I need to fill myself up and create for myself. Yeah, follow along. I'm actually really freaking hyped for this and really excited. So let's get it. Okay, so this is the coffee brand that I want to work with. This is Onyx Roasters. I love the black on black like details that they have on it. Just like everything is so clean, so minimal. Their logo is like a little black skull, which I just think is so sick, and I actually have an idea for this. So we're gonna kind of play around with this, but this is essentially what I want to photograph. And it's really cool because their other logo on the back is just like this like embossed snake, and I just think it looks so sick. I think this aesthetic is gonna be really easy for me because I do love the whole like darker kind of cigar lounge aesthetic. So I'm thinking leathers, I'm thinking a lot of texture, metals maybe even. I know something that I want to use is I definitely want kind of coffee beans all over this, so I have another bag of coffee we're going to use for that. So this is what we're going to style. This is what we're going to build an entire set around. Never done this before, but we're going to have some fun with this and we're going to figure it out, and we'll even show you the results afterwards. But for right now, let's build this thing out and let's just play around and see what we have around the house. Okay, this is an absolute mess right now, but as you can see, my office is, there's already a lot of like plants and greenery, but then there's also like, ooh, that skull, I'm gonna use that because that's their logo. That's actually dope. I'm just now thinking about this. I think I kind of want to use like this leather jacket right here. So I love the textures of this leather jacket, so I think we're gonna use this for sure. Ignore the mess, but I have these like weird suitcases that we got from Facebook Marketplace that actually Shelby used for another photo shoot another time, and we just kind of had it laying around that I think would be really sick, and to kind of give a different color and also a different texture. This guy, kind of like, it's got some like rust buckles on there, but the leather is like a different kind of texture. I'm actually really freaking hyped for this, so we'll see what we can use with this. Ideally, I wish I was either doing this at nighttime or I had blackout curtains so that I would have a lot more control with how I want the lighting to be. However, I don't have blackout curtains, and two, unfortunately, I'm way too impatient for that, to wait for the light to wait for the sun to go down. But we're gonna make it work. We're gonna kind of manipulate it, see what we can do. If I need to, I can just leave, maybe I'll leave the setup until it gets dark so that I can manipulate light even more, but let's just see how it looks for right now. Maybe it'll look fine as is. And again, this is kind of figuring it out as you go, and using what I have. A lot of times what hinders us as creatives from doing things is that in our own minds, we become so like perfectionistic that it actually paralyzes us from even trying. And so part of the reason for doing this video is also like, hey, let's pull the things that I do have. And granted, I may have more things for this shoot because it's also kind of leaning onto my aesthetic anyways. But for some of you, maybe it means leaning onto your aesthetic more and doing products that kind of cater to how you already have your own house styled. The whole point of this is, can we do this in a way that we don't have to make excuses? We can do it in our own home using the decorations that we already have, using the props that we already have in our home, and styling it from there. And so, yeah, we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna keep figuring this thing out. I know it's a little bright in this kitchen, but I think I wanna do it here just because this is the biggest surface, the biggest table. So we're gonna do it on my dining room table, literally right here. So as you can see, I just kind of shoved everything to the side to kind of make a little surface here. I don't want any of this as a backdrop in any of this, so I think I'm gonna start off by setting this puppy down. I think it'll just add kind of like a good backdrop, and maybe it'll also shadow some of the light so that I can kind of control how I would want the lighting to look. I'm adding the leather jacket just to kind of, again, add some texture into it. I don't want to cover up the belts too much because I do want some of that showing. I think I want the centerpiece to kind of just be right here. This is their kind of logo. Uh-oh. We're gonna fix that. Nothing that a little tape can't fix. So I want to show you all the perspective of kind of where I'm gonna be shooting. I think I want to shoot kind of like right here, roughly. Ooh, you know what? Have a little pour over, I think would be sick. So I got this little pour over that I already had. I'm gonna set this right here, kind of. I think I want the Onyx to kind of be in the front a little bit more. I think I'm gonna angle this a little bit more. Maybe this way. So I have more of that showing. I'm gonna turn off this light on this camera so that you can actually see what I'm looking at right here. Hold on. So essentially, I'm gonna be shooting right here. Now, the lens that I have on this camera for vlogging is a 16mm lens. I wouldn't be shooting this wide. So this is a pretty wide shot right here, but the angle that I'm kind of going for is around right here. So I want to build this set out so that you can see it. Now I don't like that you can see a lot of the light and the reflection from this curtain. I know it's so blown out right now. I don't have blackout curtains, which I really wish I freaking had, but they're so expensive. But I have a little cajon, a little box drum here. I wonder if I can kind of finesse this right there to block some of the light. I don't want to get that in my shot, which I don't think I will. Again, y'all, this is hella ratchet, but you do what you gotta do with the things that you got so that we don't start making excuses. This is the ratchet way of how I want to set this up. But I'm actually excited for this. I think it's gonna look sick. I know I wanted to incorporate this guy somehow because the skull is Onyx's kind of like logo. Dope. And if it's too much, that is also okay. Maybe here. This is kind of here in the middle. And then I wanted to get some beans from it just to kind of add maybe some more texture. Oh, this is actually starting to look so sick. All right, so I have this like gold little lighter that I think would just be like kind of a sick added accent piece to it. Just a little bit. I don't know if that's too much color, if I want that at all or what. Let me see. No, that looks pretty badass. I'm not gonna lie to you. Okay, I'm actually pretty stoked about this. So I'm gonna be using my Canon 28-70 f2. I have a 50mm 1.2, which I think could look really sick with the depth of field because it goes down to 1.2. However, I do think I want to use the 28-70 just because the focal distance is a lot. I can get a lot closer. I don't unfortunately have a macro lens, which I feel like I should have one by this point. Yeah, okay, see, I'm loving the way this looks right here. I think I'm gonna pull this guy out just a little bit more so I can see a little bit more of it. Right there. And then maybe he's more like right there. Let me see. Okay. See, I'm loving that. I do want to fill this little space right here so that I don't see any more of that back. But I might, because it's got such good depth of field anyways, I might just use a pillow. Yeah, this looks so tough, dude. So you see the setup here, and this is what's on my screen on this camera. Hold on. Oh my god, dude, that is so good. I might need to. Ignore my change of clothes. This is the next day. I had a lot of fun yesterday editing photos. I went ahead and actually sent them over to Onyx for them to use however they wanted to use the photos. Again, just as creatives, there's something that we need to constantly be filling ourselves up before we pour out into our clients and before we pour out to other people. And there needs to be this flow of being inspired. And part of that inspiration can come from a lot of different places. It can come from, yes, playing and trying out new things and doing what we did. But other times it's listening to other artists and going to museums and seeing other people's work and how they do what they do and why they do what they do. One of my favorite shows on Netflix is called Abstract, and it literally just highlights different artists. They talk about their craft, they talk about the passion behind it, they talk about why it's just deeper than just an art for them. And so I think that's super important for us to be able to find our own creative outlet, our own creative space, so that we don't get stuck. There's the financial aspect that we need to take care of ourselves, but there's also this like emotional, creative, internal aspect that also needs to be stewarded just as well. And so my encouragement to you is the thing that has been on your mind that you have been wanting to do but you have been putting aside and giving yourself excuses for, do it. Put it in your calendar and set aside time for it so that you don't have any excuses of not wanting to do it. And it's okay to fail. I think the most resilient people are the ones that have learned to fail and constantly fail well. And I think that's what kind of breeds that like success within them, is that they're comfortable with failure. And so part of that, I think, is we need to learn how to embrace the failure, embrace the play, embrace the creativity, and just do the damn thing. That's all for me today. Guys, thanks for following along. I don't know when the next video is going to be because I'm obviously horrible at keeping up with this YouTube channel thing. I'm gonna do my best, but I'm also gonna take care of myself. So, but I love y'all. Thank y'all for following. What's the word I'm looking? Thanks for following along. I made that so much harder than it needed to be. If you like this, like and subscribe. Still feel weird saying that, but I feel like it needs to be said, I guess. I don't know. Thanks for following along, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.